guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week we're going to talk about the Eclipse again. A couple of things that I did this last week to the car, and then we're going to talk about the dollars that have gone into this car build. I was talking to my buddy Joe, and he was curious. He said, Josh, you haven't told us what things cost. You haven't told us what money you've put into this thing, etc., etc. So we're gonna do all that today, tonight, right now in this video. So let's just dive right in, right? So this last week, I went ahead and installed two things on the Eclipse. I did wrap up the underglow, which I'm gonna show you a picture of right here. And then I also installed, 2 weeks ago, we talked about not using the body kit rear bumper, and I used the factory rear bumper, and I'd said I'm gonna use kind of a lower splitter canard type of piece on the lower parts of the side bumper. And I did that. I went ahead and installed them. I'm not super thrilled, so we'll see if my daughter wants to keep them. She likes them so far. They look okay. They look okay, but they came and they were really long. They were too long. So I actually cut them and shortened them, which, again, not totally crazy about how they turned out. She actually likes them. We'll see how long we keep them that way. But those are the two new pieces on the car. Again, very happy with how it's coming along. Literally the only things left are tinting the back window because it is clear glass, and the side windows are all tinted, and then there's a tint strip on the windshield. So we got to get the back window tinted. The other thing is her bucket seats. We got her racing seats for her birthday. I'm going to put a picture of those right here. And they're pretty awesome. They're very comfortable. We have them completely assembled and everything. The only reason they're not in the car yet is because the floor mounting brackets that we ordered are on back order. So that's on hold for now. They'll eventually get installed. We're really excited for that. But in the meantime, they're sitting in our living room, ready to go. But let's dive into the list. Let's talk about the car. Let's talk about what I've spent and what the build has looked like, and then what I've sold off to recoup some money. So I'm gonna start here. Here's the list, and we're gonna go down it. All right, so number one, the Eclipse itself. Now I'm gonna post this list right here next to me I've got this thing that like rotates as I move. It follows me, and it's pretty cool, but for the sake of putting a list on the screen, it may get a little jacked up, so bear with me here. But item number one, the Eclipse itself. The car itself cost $5,500, okay? This is in no particular order. I had ordered a couple of things that we never put on until recently, et cetera, et cetera. So struts for the rear lift gate, okay? That was $30, $36.59. Underglow, $30. Window tinting. Now this is actually a tint kit for the entire car. We're only gonna use it for the rear window. I may eventually do the other windows, but for now we just wanna get the back window tinted. $27.99 on eBay. The paint. So this is the paint that I used to paint those side skirts as well as the rear bumper. The paint was $108.25. The factory hood as well as the hood that we're using now didn't have washer nozzles. Those were a whopping $2.18. Now, I should tell you, most of this stuff did come off of eBay. A couple things from Amazon, a couple things from Facebook Marketplace, but mostly eBay. Shift knob. I got her a leather shift knob. It's got the indication or the gear indicators on there so she can see 1 through 5 in reverse. Better for learning, I felt like. What she had in there was a really worn out like a faux carbon fiber handle. That shift knob, $14.50, pretty cool. This 56-inch aluminum spoiler, where are we here? 120 bucks. The racing bucket seats, I got a screaming deal on them. The pair for $284. The very first day we had the car, she wanted to run to the store and pick out floor mats and a steering wheel cover, so we did. We got her a faux carbon fiber steering wheel cover, and then just some pretty generic black floor mats. $42.35. I did order a roll of carbon wrap. This was for the hood as well as the spoiler, and then any other little additional pieces that we wanted to wrap as time allows. That whole wrap was only $56.88. Now, when I bought the car, neither door, the driver or passenger door, would lock. So the lock, the actuator, all that stuff was busted. So I had to get new actuators as well as new rods. And I found those from a guy that was parting out a car up in Washington. I found him on Facebook Marketplace. He's a super nice guy, really easy to work with. $80 for both doors. And that was a screaming deal because I could only get one door hardware for $100 on eBay. So $80 for both doors was great. Wheels and tires. Okay, so this was something we didn't keep, and I'm gonna get into that here in a minute, but I did buy some new wheels and tires for the car. And by new, I just mean new used ones. These wheels were painted black when we bought the car, and she wanted something different. So let me pause that for a moment. She wanted something different because she's been a fan of the Fast and Furious Eclipse and wanted wheels that looked a lot like Paul Walker's wheels on that car in the movie. So I found these Enki wheels that were kind of a clone. The person who sold them to me gave me bad information and told me they were for an Eclipse, for a Mitsubishi in general. As it turns out, they were the completely wrong bolt pattern. They were still a 5 lug, but a totally wrong bolt pattern, so they wouldn't fit the car. So I did end up reselling them, and we're gonna get into that on the sale end of things. So for now, those wheels and tires were $120. When I was changing over the wheels and tires, I learned that I needed a lug key. These had some different lugs on there that required a special pattern. And I went to, I guess it was like an O'Reilly Auto Parts actually had them for $8.89 for the key, which was great. That was a game changer. Hole plugs, mesh, and weather strips. So now this is 3 things. These were all bought at the same time, which is why they're summed together. But the hole plugs are and were for the rear trunk lid. When we removed the factory spoiler, there were some holes that needed to be plugged. So I had to buy these little plastic plugs that go in there and cover the hole. The mesh is the mesh for the front grille and the side skirts, etc. And then the weather strip was actually to fill a gap between the front bumper and the front headlights. Because this body kit, as you've learned over the last few videos, didn't really fit perfectly. There were a little bit of gappage between the headlights and the bumper. So I filled that with really some nice weather stripping. And so the roll of weather stripping was there too. So those 3 things all came from Home Depot, and they were all $58 total. Easy enough. Now we bought a double DIN MP3 player, stereo system that she can sync her phone to. She can stream audio, she can stream phone calls. It plays video, it does everything. Those have come down so much in price. That was $39.30 on Amazon, so that was a pretty cool one. The tires that are actually on the car, we did go ahead and get different tires, and this is why we were looking at different wheels and tires to begin with, is the tires that were on the car were super low profile. Like uncomfortable to ride on, left a huge gap in the wheel well, didn't look good, and anyway, bought the correct size, proper tires. And those tires were $250, but they were brand new. They were actually brand new takeoffs, maybe a couple 100 miles off of a BMW 1 Series, I believe is what it was. And so, great tire. I did have to pay $150 to have those mounted and balanced, and that included the dismount of the original tires, etc. So $150, that's pretty steep. That was the one thing on this list that I feel like I got a little bit raked over for. But oh well. $20.22 for the wheel paint. So these black wheels, we ended up painting them silver, which is what you see on the car today. They're not a perfect paint job, but what we did do is just paint over the black paint that was on them. So we did kind of quickly sand them down just so the paint would have something to stick to, but we didn't really take off all the black paint. Had we, they'd look a lot better. Whoever painted them black, there were some drips and some flaws in the paint. And we just covered that, mostly because we were in a hurry to get it done. I couldn't move the car around without the wheels and tires on there, so we wanted to do it all in one day. So $20.22. Bumper primer and adhesive. Now this was for the rear bumper and the side skirts. This is the primer, and I talked about this in a prior episode. We used an adhesion promotion primer that was enabling the purple paint to stick to the car, which allows it to flex and bend and mold and move with the body of the car. So it keeps the paint from chipping and cracking if those if those skirts or bumpers were to flex at all. So that was $49.88. She wanted an amp and a sub. We got an all-in-one unit. It's just a powered sub essentially for $60 on Facebook Marketplace. I did have to buy a new battery for the car, which was $69.74 after the core charge. And again, that was from Walmart. I paid a buddy of mine $250 to wrap the hood with that carbon fiber. The hood that's on the car now has some contours and some vents and things, and I just didn't trust myself and my own skill to doing that well. So I went ahead and paid somebody who does it. And so that's on the car now. It was $250. Seat brackets. These are Department of Transportation approved. These are legit steel brackets that bolt to the floor of the car. $166.40. Something we can't skimp on safety. And so those are something that, we had to buy. There was no ways around it. It was just something I had to buy. So $166.40. Those carbon canards, those are the bumper extensions for the rear bumper. Again, I should have showed you a picture already. If I didn't, I'll insert it again here. But those were only $15 and those were off of eBay. And then the very last thing was clear coat paint. And the $56.41, that's actually two different types of clear coat paint. First, I bought a Rust-Oleum rattle can clear coat to try. And I wasn't happy with the results. So I ended up going to AutoZone and buying a pint of actual automotive clear coat paint that I sprayed in my spray gun, just like I did the purple paint. And that worked a lot better. That came out much, much better. So very happy with that. But I did have to spend a little bit of money on those spray paint cans and then rebuying the pint of actual clear coat. So $56.41 for a subtotal being into the car, including purchasing the car itself, $7,616.58, which honestly, I don't think that's too much at all. I think she could sell that car today for a lot more than that. But before we stop there, let's get into the sales side. So stuff that I sold off the car. Some of this stuff I sold day one. Some of this stuff I just sold last week. And there's still some stuff that it's going to be for sale. So I'll recoup a little bit more money as we go. But here we go. Here's the list of this, right? Stock front bumper. I sold that for $100. The body kit rear bumper, I have it on Facebook Marketplace. You'll see there's no price there because I haven't sold it yet. It's sitting right over here next to me in the garage. Stock hood sitting right next to this bumper over here in the garage. So no price there. I did get $40 for the stock spoiler. Funny enough, it was the prior owner who bought it from me. He found it on Facebook Marketplace and was like, dude, I'd love to hang that in my garage, kind of as a memento of having that car. Would you take $40 for it? I think I was asking $75 and it had been on Facebook Marketplace for like 6 months. So I said, yeah, fine, $40, come get it, great. So $40. The car had some really hokey fog lights on it when I got the car. Immediately pulled those off with the wiring harness and everything, sold those for $10. The stock seats, you're gonna see there's zero price there, but that's because they're still in the car. They will come out as soon as those new brackets get here, but for now they're still in the car. I sold the Lambo door kit for $250. I sold those Enki wheels and tires for $220. Now, if you remember, if we go back, I paid, let's see, where I'm looking up my list here. I paid $120 for them, sold them for $220. So what I did was I cleaned them up real nice. I polished the wheels, shined up the tires, cleaned them up really, really nice, took way better pictures, and used the correct lug pattern. I told the new buyer, hey, listen, here's the deal. I bought them for my daughter's car. They didn't fit, but they actually will fit this. And as it turns out, it's a Volkswagen pattern. I think it was 1 by 1 or 5 by 120, I think is what it was. And so I made $100 on those, and that was a quick flip. I think I bought them on a Thursday and sold them on a Saturday. All I had to do was put a little elbow grease into them, and that was great. The stock tires from the stock wheels. So not, and by stock, oh, no, I'm sorry. Stock wheels and tires. Those came with the car when I bought it. They had beat up studded tires on the factory 14-inch wheels. Was never gonna use them, so I put them on Craigslist immediately. Sold them for $60. the 18-inch tires. This is the cool one. So these are the tires that came off the wheels, the really low pro ones that were just not gonna work for us. I got $200 out of those, which was awesome because the new tires that I bought were $250 and they're way better tires. So I felt like that was a really good upgrade. Obviously I lost the money. I didn't recoup the money on the mounting and balancing, but getting $200 for those tires, that felt really good. Next, you're gonna see there was a Pioneer Premier CD player in that car. Now, it was very era correct. It was probably the best stereo you could buy in 1999 when that car was brand new. I remember the Pioneer Premiers being awesome. I think it was maybe the year 2000 or 2001. I upgraded a stereo in an old car of mine to a Premier deck. And it was pretty expensive back in the day. But today, people still want them. And so I put that on eBay, and sold it for $94.20 after shipping and fees. So not too bad. I bought a huge piece of mesh to do that front bumper and those side skirts. And I don't have it broken out. If you remember, I had like 3 items in there. But I think that piece of mesh was like $20. I sold what I didn't use for $15. So that was pretty cool. The car came with these diamond plate floor mats, which my daughter had no desire to use. I put those on Craigslist and they went away for $10. So from what I've sold so far, again, I still have the seats, the hood, and the rear bumper to sell. But from what I've sold so far, I have recouped $999.20. So my actual total into the car is $66.17.38, which, I mean, again, guys, that's a screaming deal. $6,700, under $6,700 for this car. And I've used the term good enough several times in this build. And truth is, it's good enough. It is a first car for a 15, going to be 16-year-old kid. It doesn't need to be a high-end build. It doesn't need to be a show-stopping, show-winning car. It is a mode of transportation for a high school kid. So good enough works for me. This car is so freaking cool. Yeah, it is. It is awesome. And my daughter's gonna rewatch this back and she's gonna be like, Dad, you said my car was cool. It is. It is a cool car. And for $6,700, I don't think she could find a cooler car out there, right? I mean, truth is, I don't think she could. Now, I've been watching the Eclipse market, and it's not the Super market or the RX-7 market or anything quite to that level. But these 2G Eclipses are starting to draw some attention because they're still somewhat attainable, somewhat affordable, and they're still a little more common than those RX-7s and the Supras of the Fast and Furious days. So if she were to sell this car tomorrow, I mean, we were talking about this, right? Like, I think in the condition that it's in, with all the upgrades, all the mods, all the fun factor, I'd probably sell this car for like 12 grand, right? Now, I don't know that she'd get that, but that's probably where I'd list it, 12.5 or maybe 11.9, somewhere in that window. I, without any doubt, know that she could get 10, 10.5, maybe 11 or more to the right buyer for this car as it sits. Now, granted, that back window needs to be tinted. Those seats need to be installed, right? All those things. But if this was a done turnkey kit, a car, as I expect it to be for her when she starts to drive it, I think that it's a $10,000 to $12,000 car all day long. And again, we're into this car $6,700. I don't know that I'm going to get $617.38 to bring us back to $6,000 even for the bumper, the hood, and the seats. But if I can get close to $600, that's only $200 each. $200 for the seats, $200 for the bumper, $200 for the hood. I'd be tickled if I could get anywhere close to that. If we can get closer to 6,000 point of being into this car, especially since I only paid $5,500 for it, all these upgrades, because we're doing the work ourselves, right? I'm not saying that you're gonna run out and find the same deals. Again, my spreadsheet, my numbers here, that's based on what I was able to score. And I searched and I searched and I searched and I found the best deal I could. A lot of these parts came with the car. I just had to install them. A lot of stuff came with the car that I sold off to recoup a bunch of money, right? This is not an everyday scenario for every person, but if you're diligent and you look around, you can find some pretty sweet deals. and make it work for you, right? I mean, we were looking at a 50, I want to say it's a 58-inch wide aluminum wing. That's what Paul Walker had on his Eclipse in the movie. So we started looking at those, right? Because she wanted essentially a replica. And for whatever reason, that size spoiler was like $290. I found this one, which is I think a 56-inch, so it's like 2 inches or 3 inches shorter in width, barely noticeable, right? Barely a couple inches. It was $120. So I literally saved $160, $170 by just getting a slightly smaller spoiler. It doesn't sit any lower, doesn't sit any higher. It's the same height. It's literally just a little bit more narrow, a couple inches. No big deal, right? The seats, I got a screaming deal on the seats, spent a bit more than I wanted to on brackets, but again, we don't want to skimp on safety, guys. That's an important piece. Underglow, stereo, buying used, fixing things, selling off stock parts. I mean, honestly, selling that Pioneer Premier stereo for $95 literally was a wash with the $40 deck that we bought on Amazon and the $60 amp and sub that we found on Marketplace or Craigslist. So, I mean, just about a complete wash to do a sweet upgrade that she wants, right? So that's pretty sweet. So I'm going to leave it there. That's kind of disclosing the entire Eclipse deal. We're going to talk more about it as the car is totally done. Like I said, those brackets have been on back order for a while, like quite a while. And then I've been waiting for the temperature to get a little cooler. I've got a buddy who's going to help me tint that back window. When those seats come out, we're going to detail the carpet, clean the entire interior, shampoo, the whole nine. And then we'll give the outside a pretty nice detail. And then the car's done, which is cool. She's going to be getting her permit really, really soon. And we're excited for her, but she wants the car to be done when she drives it. So that's kind of lit the fire behind me because I don't want her to drive something that's a work in progress. I don't want it to be at all unsafe. I don't want it to be at all in the works. I want it to be done. I want her to be able to jump in and go. And so for me, I want to get those seats in. I don't care so much about the seats. I want to get the window tinting done, and then I want to detail it once those seats are out and the new seats go in. But as it sits today, it's pretty much spot on to where it needs to be. So pretty cool car, been a lot of fun. It's been a great project. It's been only about an 8-month project. I bought the car in January. Here we are in September, not quite 9 months, and it's essentially done. And again, if I can sell these parts off, I'll only have bought the car and put another $500 or $600 into it, which is just mind bending. Like, who does that? I don't know how we managed to make that work. But it's been an incredible budget build. It's been super fun. And if you guys have questions about any of that stuff, please comment down below, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.